You're watching Thursday Night Footy on Fox, brought to you by the new Ranger plug-in hybrid. An 8-point win for the Gold Coast Suns. Their 8th trip to Darwin in a row where they've claimed victory. They're now second on the ladder as you see a Hawks premiership superstar, Cyril Rioli, watching on and enjoying what was a pretty good game of football. Jason Dunstall, David King and Joey Montagna. Gosh, there's a lot to like about the Gold Coast Suns at the moment.
There is. You get to 100 points, you normally win the game. They were able to do that. It's a very similar scoreline to last week when they beat the Bulldogs. And it was really interesting because it came down to the dying moments. And we were watching the game and Joey said, no, this is a different Suns team. They don't lose these games. Whereas in years gone by, they would have found a way to lose that. The opposition might have been good enough to get over the line. But they fought when they needed it. There were players. Tuke Miller kicked that goal when they desperately needed one. Ben Long did everything he did up forward. They just found ways and they had players that would jump in and get it done when they needed it done.
Yeah, and they had to do it a different way. I mean, we spoke about them dominating the first quarter and a half of this game. Then Hawthorn had all the momentum, and at three-quarter time, you know, they did have the run of it. But Gold Coast found a way again. They were able to dominate again at clearance and kick the first couple of goals of the quarter and then found a way to hang on. And I mean, this guy, Ben Long, I mean, he epitomises this team right now. His ability to just fight and win contests and provide some work in that forward half. I mean, again, he's been instrumental. And I think it was a really even team performance, again, by Gold Coast, but what he's doing is incredible.
It's amazing the new lease of life you can get sometimes under a new coach, King.
Yeah, it's a good call. And Damien Hardwick didn't play when he first came.
Yeah.
He didn't see what he necessarily had since he's come to that forward line. They've just got a competitor. I mean, you look inside the forward 50, he leads all comers tonight for contested ball wins inside the arc. He's had 6 tonight. You win a contest in your forward 50, you're generally getting a score. And that was the gap in the game. We'll go through the highlights later. In the fourth quarter, they just broke them in the forward 50. Dominance all night with the clearance game. When you look at the clearances plus 15, Jace, you would have thought the Suns would have won by more.
Yeah.
But Hawthorn, to their credit, they were admirable. I mean, they've gone down by 8 points, but I thought there's a lot to like about the way they played a few stars short tonight.
So they've got St Kilda at Marvel next week, Fremantle over in Perth and Geelong in Geelong. So some tricky games coming up, but at the minute there's no team that seems to be out of their depth. I mean, they're just really professional at the moment in a way that Damien Hardwick must be so happy with. Yeah,
that's right. They're growing by the week. So once they are learning more and more about their system, learning more about their teammates and where they need to be, what they need to be doing in games, particularly late in games, they're trusting one another. And I think they can trust most of their players that if they need to win a contest, they can, whether it's behind the ball. Again, the defenders were sensational. King just mentioned ahead of the ball. And the midfield we know about. We've spoken so much about them, and they are going to go to the wire every single week. So they don't rely on any one individual anymore. They can spread the load, and they just keep finding ways.
I think when you look at the numbers, it's a classic shootout sort of style game, isn't it? Neither coach will be happy with the game itself. They'll be happy with the competition and the contest. 59 inside 50s each. They're huge numbers. I just think Damien Hardwick could say, look, it's not really the way I want to play when I've got this sort of dominance. Can we lock the ball more in our forward half and just take the foot off the pedal for the defenders? But they won the crunch contest that mattered.
It mightn't have been the game that he wanted, but you kind of have to go with it. Once you get in front and you're hanging on to a lead, you've got to sit there and say, well, this is what's got us here. It's hard to change it up then.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what more you can say about Noah Ennis and Matt Rowell as a combo.
Yeah. Jeez, they're good, aren't
they? Good to watch. I mean, they've had 21 clearances between the two of them, and in the end, that's the gap in the game.
Love Tuke Miller in his 200th. And he gave us what we knew he'd give us in his 200th game. It's what he's done for 199 games before that. He's the honesty in his performance is extreme. And the number of clearances he was involved in early and the ability to hit the scoreboard, he can play whatever role you want him to play.
See there, the clearance, those three, the big three there.
Yep.
That's almost 30 clearances between them.
Just sign now. Just sign now, Matty Rowell. Just be done with it.
You're right.
I just think it could give this club a real big lift. The sooner he signs, the better. They've really made significant inroads, haven't they? And why would you want to leave this?
He mightn't want to leave, King. He just wants the dollars to be right.
Oh, they're right, don't worry.
And he's entitled for the dollars to be right.
The offer's there. I don't think the dollars are changing massively, but this is great to see. One of the warriors of this football club.
Who was there when they were going like bastards? When no one gave them any love, when they were getting flogged week in, week out. There was one man that you knew would put his hand up and give that great performance every week and set the example. And now it's great to see him getting a little bit of reward for all the hard yards that he put in early. He gets to enjoy some fruits of the labour.
And he was the reason in that first quarter why they got off to a flyer. He had 7 touches, 3 of those become scores, which was the most on the ground. So he set this victory up.
Such a consistent performer over a long, long time and an important leader. And you imagine when Damien Hardwick arrived at the Suns, Joey, he would have targeted him as a player that he could build this group around spiritually, but also obviously out on the ground.
Yeah, you can't help but smile just to see now, as Jace said, all the hard yards and the teams that he's been through that have been pretty ordinary teams and some poor standards and culture. And he's been the one that's strived. He just hasn't had enough people really come with him over the years. And now, you know, he now gets to really start to enjoy it and soak it in and maybe just start to sniff what finals footy's actually going to feel like, because this group is good enough. We've seen it now all season long. They've just got to continue the way that they are going, not get ahead of themselves. And if that's the case, there's no doubt they'll be playing in September this year.
Full club. I mean, have a look at this. Yeah. Everyone's there. These are the special ones, Chase.
Something to think about for all the future teams that are travelling to Darwin too, because they are just building something special up there.
Let's have a look at some of the crucial quarter-4 moments, because the Hawks led by 3 points at the final change and they had some momentum, and it was the composure of the Suns to win some of those big moments, Jace, that proved pivotal.
It was, and there were plenty of free kicks paid tonight, and I think there were 8 or 9 goals kicked from free kicks, half a dozen of them for the Hawks. So they were pivotal moments, and we know some of the small forwards are very good at getting those, but they just had the answers, and there's that goal we spoke about. How critical was that? Tuke Miller, when they needed it off one step, turns and kicks, and his teammates are all over him. They love it.
No doubt it'll be a talking point. Hawks, 6 goals, 1 from free kicks. Is it a skill? Are the umpires falling for some faking? Who cares? They paid the free kick. Most of them are there. Joey will just say that. But I just thought it was a great contest. You've got to get your tackles right. This goal here. This is pretty good.
Awesome.
Just keep them with a glimmer of hope, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. They never stopped trying, did they, the Hawks? Like, they kept coming, and credit to them. They have left some senior players at home, and you know, certainly the way the game started, you know, we all thought, gee whiz, Gold Coast by how far, but they found a way. As I said, it wasn't necessarily in the clearance, but they were certainly able to outnumber in general play around those ground balls and behind the footy and in front of the ball, and give themselves a chance to play with a bit more flair after quarter time, where they were very safe early. It was very wide and a lot of kick mark, but once they took the game on a little bit more, that was more like Hawthorn, and they did give themselves a shot. But as we said, this Gold Coast team now just finding a ways to get the wins.
Would you rather play the Suns in Darwin or on the Gold Coast, Jace? When your fixture comes out.
On the Gold Coast, please.
It's imposing now, isn't it? That is quite the record, 8 in a row. Let's talk about the skipper, Noah Anderson, 35 disposals, 1 goal. And Jace, you picked up on this at the centre bounce, particularly late in the game. He was just able to find space, and it was so pivotal late.
Must have been giggling to himself at some of the centre bounces, because he just 6 centre bounce clearances, and some of the times he was standing all on his own, and Big Mitchie just tap it to him and away he'd go. And I mean, some of their dominance from centre bounce was special, but again, this guy's growing as a leader. He puts his body in, he's not afraid to mix it up if he has to. He gets the ball inside, he gets it outside, and he brings his teammates into play. There's another one of those centre bounce clearances that led directly to a goal, and I mean, he does a lot of smart things. He's a clever player, and he's just getting better. You know, he's going to continue to get better, I think.
I think the club have set him up for success too, Joey, making him the captain at the right time when he was absolutely ready to go to this level.
Yeah, and he's still got Tuke Miller and Jared Witts there that he can lean on. He's not sort of doing it alone. And I love the balance of his game, Jason, the inside and outside. You know, he knows when he can win the footy on the inside. He's also a guy that can get the ball in transition. Yep. His decision-making between handballing and kicking as well is getting better, and yeah, he's leading from the front. He's been sensational all year long. So
from the captain to the former captain, Kingy, we're going to have a look at Tuke Miller. I mean, we celebrated him and his milestone, but his impact on the game today.
Yeah, and we often miss what this guy does or where he starts his runs, and I just think it's important to recognise what he brings and how it impacts those around him. Often you just see the handball receive, or you see the young contested mark on the wing and you say, oh yeah, that's solid play, that's nice. But he breaks hearts. I mean, this is early when he's there to set the game up, and his work at clearance was terrific. This is the handball we showed earlier, threading it through a hole, and they're out the front again. Here, shoulders out, uses his speed, but it's more the round-the-ground stuff that I fall in love with. His ability to link up, be that corridor aggressive runner. We know about his ball use. These sorts of runs here, off clearance, that are the gap in the game. Most players don't bring. They don't possess that sort of power or that sort of will and desire to work coast to coast.
And we showed some of his accolades pre-game, went to celebrate his milestone, and he's been AFL Coach Association Player of the Year, multiple All-Australian. But right now, you can argue he's almost in career best form. I mean, he's one of only 4 players this year to average 25 disposals and a goal a game. And again today, 22 and 2. There's only a couple of players that do that a year for the whole season. He's on track for that. It's phenomenal what he's doing offensively.
So here's what we're talking about. So he's at the stoppage. He's left the screen there. You can see him highlighted. That's his man, Newcombe, right next to him. He just breaks his heart. He says, you just can't go like I can go. You can't come with me. He half feigns running into the umpire because he knows it's over. And then you get quality on the end of that because it puts you into clear air. Stoppage. Are you going to come with me? Are you going to come all the way? Because I'm going 100 metres across the ground and we're coming out by hand. Now, you know you're gone. Mackenzie is in a world of pain because there he is, charging forward side of the centre circle, deep entry, put the opposition under pressure and a score result. So this is what we're talking about. You get one guy prepared to do this and it breaks down the opposition and it destroys their will and want to run.
And we're showing ones there where he actually gets on the end of it. There's plenty of those times where he runs and he doesn't get the ball, but he still works hard and provides opportunities.
So forward 50 wins for the Gold Coast, Kingy, was where the game was won and lost.
Yeah, last quarter, I mean, you have to get really specific. I know that you normally lose contests in your forward 50 because the Hawk defenders have numbers, or it's easier to spoil than it is to mark, or it's easier to win with numbers than it is, one out, 1v3, 1v2. But they just won contest in the last quarter. In the end, it was +3, 8v5. It doesn't sound like a lot, but they won 5 of the first 6 that went in, and they all hit the scoreboard. Like we keep saying, you win contests in this area of the ground, it's going to be at least a point, probably a goal. Free kicks are part of that, and obviously contested marks. This here, the sort of zigzag run to get it to a one-on-one, to put them under pressure, draws a free kick. So the first 3 quarters, there's 31-18 in favour of the Hawks, so -13. Last quarter, it's +3. That's the game. That's the game. They broke them in the end, and I know there was 59 inside 50, so you can mount a case that it was just sheer numbers. But just here, just in sync, Swallow ready to crumb, Long bring it to ground again. He was outstanding, Long. It's just simple stuff, Joey and Jace, but you win contests there. That's what they pay the big bucks for the forwards.
It is, but that's why I love the evolution of Ben Long into the role that he's playing down there now, because he has the competitive juices of anyone else in the game. He hates losing any contest, and he's learned to control that aggression, and he directs it at the ball, and it's been a fantastic find. And Dimmer might have been a little bit slow finding him in that role, but now it works for him and it's a trump card.